Hi, my name is Julie Meyer. I am one of the area engineers here in District 12 in the construction department. I've been working at ODOT for 26 years, all of which has been in the construction department. I've been more on the administration side of construction now for about 12 years. Again, prior to that, all of my time has been in the field in construction as a project engineer.
My name is Luke Martin. I am an area engineer with District 12 Construction and have been in the construction department for 10 years. First 8 years was in the field, and the last 2 have been in the office administering projects from the office.
Today we're here to answer some of the questions that we receive on the internet through social media, Facebook, and Instagram. Lana says, some of your detours are so intense. And Aaron asks, wouldn't using local roads make some detours easier than routing all the way to state routes? So as far as our detour routes go, we have to take into consideration many factors, especially the fact that we have truck traffic on most of our routes that we're working on. So in situations where we need to post a detour, we cannot have truck traffic running through local roads. Those roads are not constructed to support the type of load that a truck would have to drive on. So in all situations where we post a detour, we have to post state routes and federal routes as far as detour routes go. Now, as far as local traffic goes, locals are welcome to use whatever they feel comfortable with, however you'd like to get around your area, your neighborhood, by all means. Find the quickest route that makes things accessible for you. Eddie asks, in Arizona, they do the work at night. Why can't we do construction at night to keep traffic impacts to a minimum?
Many of our projects we do construct at night. However, there are jobs that we cannot complete at night due to being close to residential neighborhoods. There's temperature requirements for some of the projects. And just overall, some of the work just cannot be done at night due to the nature of the work. But we do try and do a lot of the work at night to minimize traffic impact, especially night paving. That does help with the traffic. Some of our asphalt paving projects, you cannot pave if the temperatures are below 50 degrees, sometimes 40 degrees. So paving at night, especially in the spring or fall, is just not doable. So you have to do those during the day.
We had a few people ask us about doing multiple projects at the same time. AJ remarks, ODOT's idea of construction is comparable to a person with ADHD. Start one project, then start another project without finishing the first project. David says, you start 50 jobs, so all jobs take longer to complete. Start one and finish it, then move on to the next project. And Catherine similarly asks, why not finish one project before starting another nearby? So as far as our projects go, projects are tied to when the funding becomes available for those projects. Not necessarily projects next to each other will be funded at the same time, unfortunately. We understand that is frustrating for us as well, but we are tied to certain constraints. Our roads and freeways and everything up here around the Cleveland area was pretty much constructed about the same time in the 60s and 70s. So right now, everything is coming under construction at the same time. So again, we have to pick and choose what projects we can do under the constraints of the funding that we're given at the time the projects are coming to fruition. We look at conditions of the pavement, we look at the conditions and ratings on the bridges, conditions drive when the project needs to be constructed. And again, that is when we get the funding and obtain the agreements in order to do those projects at one time, or unfortunately over multiple seasons or back to back from year to year.
And it's good, this year I think we're completing 50 projects, which is a good thing. We're going to get 50 jobs done. Instead of maybe 1 or 2 in an area, it would take much longer if we're only doing a few compared to the 50 that we're going to complete this year. That would take much longer. It would impact traffic and the traveling public much longer. So I know it's a headache for all of us driving, but in the grand scheme of things, it is good we are completing all this work.
We had another group of folks ask about similar topics regarding crews and work zones. Joshua asked, why is it that some projects just seem to sit idle even when it's good weather outside? Gordy asks, do crews actually work on these projects every day? Seems like I drive through construction and no work is going on.
So yes, projects do sometimes seem to be sitting idle. That could be due to concrete cure times or other cure times waiting for the work to become available. Also, the jobs you may not see anybody working, they may be working different hours that you are driving past. They may be working nights, they may be working 410s, they may be working during the day when you're not there, during different time constraints due to lane shifts or lane closures. Contractors do want to try and get all their work done as fast as possible. They don't want to be there any longer than they have to. The longer they're there, the more money it costs them. So they're trying to get their work done quickly and efficiently. So even though it's 70 and sunny outside and nobody's working, there is a reason. Again, at cure times, or they're on another part of the project. Maybe they're underneath the road where you can't see them. But no, they are working. Again, they just may not be there when you're driving past.
So if you're commuting during the workday, say you're going into work at 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning, you might not necessarily see our contractor or crews working at that time. We do have some restrictions up and around the Cleveland area where a contractor during the day might not be able to work until 9 a.m. and then they have to be back off the road at 3 p.m. We do this so that we're not impacting rush hour traffic. So again, just because you don't see them when you're commuting in or out doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't been out there to do the work. A lot of our zones are temporary, as I mentioned. They have to be on the road at 9 a.m., off the road at 3 p.m. In our permanent work zones, again, you can see our contractors working during the day. They might be at one end of the project. They might be at underneath the bridge. They might be working night shift. They might be working 410s. So if you're driving through on a Friday, you might not see them there on a Friday for that reason. Robert asked us, why do so many projects seem to get delayed? Do your contracts have penalties for not finishing on time?
Yes, contracts do have penalties for not finishing on time. If there's contract just did not finish the work that they were contracted to do, and it took them longer than expected, we do penalize them. There are a variety of different reasons why jobs do get delayed though. It could be utility delays, unforeseen conditions once the job starts. They open up the road and nobody knew what was underneath there and it just extended the project. In that case, the contractor would not be penalized. We did add extra work and the job just did get extended. It could get extended past the winter into the spring due to, again, temperature requirements for paving or concrete or again, a variety of different things. But in short, if the contract does not finish on time and there is no fault of the departments, they do get penalized.
And then similarly, other delays are, again, our weather. We all live in the Cleveland area and know how our weather fluctuates. So contractors are not penalized for weather delays. We do add the time to the contract. But again, that could push the contract towards the end of the season, which again, our falls are pretty sporadic. So temperature sensitive work items such as asphalt, striping, seeding, painting, those type of work items might get pushed into the following year. Again, at no fault of either the department or the contractor. So we do work with our contractors in situations of weather and unforeseen conditions and utility delays. Again, those are no fault to either party, but in the scheme of a contractor just not finishing on time, there are disincentives that are assessed. Donna says, it's obvious when your engineers don't have to drive through a work zone and they don't care about certain traffic impacts. To that, I would say we all drive through all of each other's work zones. Our district headquarters is smack dab in the middle of our district, and we do have work zones running at all times in all areas of our district, which again is Lake Geauga and Cuyahoga counties. So we are aware of each other's work zones. We keep up on each other. If we see something, we say something. We're very familiar with these work zones, and we try really hard to do the best we can for the traveling public to make sure that those work zones are safe and accurate. We try very hard not to impact the traveling public as best we can. We do know that unfortunately there are situations where there are going to be major impacts, but we try to minimize those as much as possible. We try very hard to work at night when there's less traffic on the road. We try very hard to do total closures to minimize the impacts. A total closure of a section, a road, a bridge might mean that we're going to get the job done in 6 months versus getting it done in 2 years. So we are aware of the impacts that our work zones create, and we do suffer through them just like everybody else.